feel good. I got my best jeans on, I feel fine. I'll call my baby on the phone. We're going down to Jamie's and watch them shoot a game of 9. Jackie Dunn will be there in his ragtop 59. My grill is clean. I've got an 8-track in the dash of my machine, and I know every single line. Yeah, Susie's got her dress on, hanging high above her knees. And when she smiles for the Nikon, you know it's such a sight to see. Southern city lights, wheels will turn, and the rubber's gonna burn. The glass packs are racking, the power play is screaming loud. We'll cruise the red dot parking lot and see who all is in the crowd. 'Cause I feel good, I got my best jeans on, it's all fine. I'll call my baby on the phone. We're going down to Jamie's and watch them shoot a game of 9. Jackie Dunn will be there, and you better not step out of line. To play till the evening sun would come, then wandering down an old familiar pathway, I could hear my mother call at set of sun. Come home, it's supper time. The lengthen fast. Come home, it's supper time. We're going home at last. Come home. Some of my fondest memories of my childhood were woven around supper time. And Mom, I remember how you used to call from the steps of our old home place. You'd always say, "Come home, son, it's supper time." What I'd give to hear that just one more time. But you know, time has woven a realization of truth that's even more thrilling. And that's when we hear that call from the portals of glory to come home for supper time. When all of God's children gather around the table with the Lord Himself, and we celebrate the greatest supper time of all. Come home, supper time. The shadows lengthen fast. Come home, it's supper time. We're going home at last. As I travel through this pilgrim land, there is a friend who walks with me, leads me safely through the sinking sand. It is the Christ of Calvary. This will be my prayer, dear Lord, each day, that I may do the best I can. For I need the light to guide me day and night. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Jesus, hold my hand. Lord, I need thee every hour. Through this last pilgrim land, protect me by thy power. Hear my feeble plea, dear Lord, look down on me. When I'm ill in prayer, I hope to meet you there. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Let me travel in your light divine, that I may see the blessed way. Keep me that I may be wholly thine, and sing redemption song someday. I will be a soldier brave and true, never firmly take my stand. As I onward go and daily need the foe, blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Jesus, hold my hand. Lord, I need thee every hour. Through this last pilgrim land, protect me by thy power. Hear my feeble plea, dear Lord, look down on me. When I kneel in prayer, I hope to meet you there. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. When I wander through the valley down toward the setting of the sun, lead me safely to a land of rest. If by the crown of life I've won, I have put my faith in thee, dear Lord, that I may reach that golden strand. There's no other friend on whom I can depend. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Jesus, hold my hand. Lord, I need thee every that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun.
And that beautiful piece of magic and music and scenes that are like nothing else in the world, and many of those scenes are right here in Gilmer County, comes to you from Tim Christensen, Dwight Sanford, and our Lord, who developed, designed, and gave us all that amazing scenery. Wasn't it beautiful? Absolutely beautiful. Y'all, I don't like holiday weekends. I don't like all the craziness. And I have to ask some prayer requests. We have got, Jen is back on chemo, and she had a pretty rough weekend. So please, please, please continue praying for her. We're hoping that that chemo is working and that there's no cancer, but you got to keep the dang chemo to keep the cancer gone. Don't you hate that? But we got to do it. And if you were out on the roads this weekend, I can tell you about 1 million people went to Fannin County. And in order to get to Fannin County, you go through Cherokee and Pickens and Gilmer County, and oh my goodness, the traffic was wild and wicked. And it was really wicked last week. A driver going a very fast, high rate of speed hit a vehicle belonging to one of the best builders in Cherokee County, and his precious wife and 3 children were in this vehicle. Thank you, God. All three are fine. They survived. They are swollen and cut and bruised and all these things happening, but they are going to be fine. Now, will these children ever forget the impact and the screams and the tires and the glass breaking? No. If you're I'm going to say something. I know I'll get in trouble for this, but anything I say on this program, I'm responsible for. So y'all just take it like it is. If you're an idiot and you're running 100 miles an hour down 515 and you hit somebody and it nearly kills a family, shame on you. Just shame on you. When you go places, pay attention. Don't text and drive. When you go places, go the speed limit. Get over in the old lady lane like I do. Do what you're supposed to do and quit causing havoc. There were so many wrecks over the weekend, so many fatalities. There were 5 people killed in Gwinnett County. Pay attention to our driving techniques. And if you don't know how to drive, stay at the house. It is crazy. Lucas Hall is a fine, fine young man with a wonderful, beautiful family. He could have lost his whole family because somebody chose to drive crazy. The fact that he walked into the hospital and there lay all his children on backboards under all kinds of medical equipment and his beautiful wife. They are so fortunate to be alive today. Please continue to pray for their healing and for their complete recovery, and that these children don't have to live with, you know what it sounds like when you're in a wreck. You know what the glass breaking, you know the horror of it happening to you. These children have got to live that over and over and over. Please, if you're out on the roads, pay attention to what you're doing. Quit acting crazy. There's too many crazy people with driver's license or often unlicensed drivers. And JS used to make fun of me because he would say, you're going to get hit in the rear because when the red light changes, you're supposed to go. Well, I always look in all 4 directions because I don't trust anybody. And, you know, you have to watch for the other driver. You have to drive defensively. You have to take care of yourself. Thank God these children were buckled in safely, and that I'm sure saved their lives. Thank you, Lord, for their protection. Thank you for everything to get them to the hospital, all the people who stopped and helped them. It was so bad. And for their daddy, I think he said he was like 30 minutes away to get to them. Can you imagine what that was like for him, not knowing the circumstances? So please say a prayer for Lucas and the family, and to his beautiful wife. What an amazing woman to have gotten through this, and thank you, Lord, for their protection. I'm so thankful for that. Such good folks. So watch what you're doing. Now, boy, am I going from one extreme to the other. We're going to go from lecturing y'all and telling you to drive safely and do good to moonshining and running these hills with moonshine in fast cars. Now, that's kind of contradictory, isn't it? But we don't do that anymore. We don't run these hills with shine. We don't do all that craziness that was done way back when. But we do remember, and we know that Mopar was one of the cars that honestly was like a revved up engine, a really cool Dodge, a really cool Plymouth. They were big cars with big trunks. They held a lot of shine, and a lot of the moonshiners used those Mopar cars. It might be where Mopar got its start. So today we're going to share not only a very special car that I love this car, and it's been around for a long time, and then it left, and now it's coming back again. And it's really cool to see. But when you think about the Dukes of Hazzard, they took the Dukes of Hazzard off television because they had a Confederate flag on their big General Lee Mopar car. How silly is that? You can't erase history. You just can't erase history. You can't do it. So we're going to share a little bit of Jerry Rushing's life with you. Sadly, he has gone on to be with the Lord, or happily for him, he's gone on to be with the Lord. Such a good guy who ended up with a ministry at the end of his life. He went from moonshining and being a bootlegger and running the hills of North Carolina carrying shine to having a ministry where he brought people in from all over the world and let them get to know God and get to know nature and to go out and hunt and to just have a great time out in the wilderness because he owned lots and lots of acreage. Just a really good guy, and I want to salute him today. I also want to say a big thank you to our local telephone company, ETC. When things go amok, and often they do, if you pick up the phone and you can get customer service and talk to somebody that is in your area, can fix your problem, and can direct you to the right person to talk to, isn't it better than calling somewhere way, way, way far away and they don't have a clue what you're talking about and they can't help you and they can't get somebody right down to your office in just a little while? Isn't it nice to use local folks? And I was looking at this old shirt as I came in today. It says, "I am a piece of the puzzle." Everybody who works at ETC is a piece of the puzzle, and I think the best times are the piece of the puzzle that comes with customer service. Customer service is so very important. And that is one thing. You might get this and this and this and this with other companies, but you don't get the customer service that you get with ETC. So I'm going to challenge you. If you've thought about leaving this company because you thought, well, there was a price increase, or well, there was this, or well, there was that, listen to me. Customer service is the most valuable thing in the world, because if you can't get customer service, it doesn't matter who you have service with. And I'm telling you this from experience. I had something for 40 years, and the company closed, and the person I dealt with passed away, and now you ought to see the craziness I've gone through for about 6 weeks, and I'm still going through it. But today I'm going to make a call to Atlanta, and I'm going to get some help because I've had about all I can stand. Local folks serving your families and doing what needs to be done so you have good service is so valuable. Keep that in mind. If you think you're going to shop and you think you're going to do better and you think you're going to do this and this and this, you're not. You better stick with what works, and it works. So a lot of folks don't have ETC services because they can't be everywhere. But if you're fortunate enough to have ETC services, you better hang on to it, and you better thank you, Lord Almighty, that you have got. Some folks say, it comes within half a mile of me. Well, it costs a lot to run that half a mile, and sometimes it just isn't worth it. You can't get it done, and that's sad because we would love to serve everybody. But if you're lucky enough to have ETC service, I can guarantee you, last week, saw it up close and personal. If you don't have ETC, and you're trying to get something done in a hurry, good luck, good luck. So, doesn't work. But we're going to salute ETC and all the folks who make it happen, but especially the folks who answer the phones and try to solve your problems. And 99.9% of the time, they can get her done in just a little bit. So hang tight. And know that if you're new to the community, pick up the phone and call 706-253-2271 for the Jasper office, and they can put you through to anybody you need to talk to. And find out what is so cool about having a local company doing things for you in your home right here in these mountains. All right, guys, we're going to take a trip. We're going to take a trip back to North Carolina. This is a beautiful property, and spent some time. Actually, Freddie drove the motorhome up this road that was like a little tiny road, and I'm like, we're never going to make it. This isn't going to work. Well, it did. It did. And we went to Cherie Rushing's house, and we were lucky enough to spend a good afternoon with him and just got to know him and really enjoyed it. And I want to share that with y'all. Then we're going to come back, and we're going to share some more music, but I'm going to share something I think all you guys are going to like. And so hang tight. Sit back and get to know Cherie Rushing, and then when we come back, we're going to see something that's pretty special, and I think you're going to like it.
is 5 miles from downtown Mount Airy, North Carolina, where you can visit the Andy Griffith Museum and also the Andy Griffith Playhouse. Now today, I wasn't crazy about downtown because 250,000 people have invaded downtown area for a fall festival. It is wild and crazy, so I definitely suggest a weekend when it is not quite so crowded. But take a trip. It's about 6 hours from our area, and it is a beautiful, beautiful drive. Come out and get to know the nice folks at the Mayberry Campground. Full hookup, everything you need. All you do is pull in, undo, hook up your electricity, put your jacks down, and you are ready to go. Remember, this is only 5 miles from downtown Mount Airy, which is where Mayberry got its start. And you'll remember, Andy Griffith's now 50 years in the works on television. Make plans to take a trip to Mount Airy, North Carolina. Welcome to Taylorsville, North Carolina. Way, way, way back in the woods in Taylorsville, North Carolina. And I have to say, the drive in here was incredible. It was absolutely gorgeous. So many old houses, and I'm looking to this side of the road, looking to that side of the road, and I'm trying to take it all in, and I'm thinking, wow, I'd love to spend a whole day up here. The area is absolutely gorgeous, but we had a mission. The mission was to come to spend some time with Cherie Rushing. If you love the Dukes of Hazzard like I did, and everybody knows my nickname used to be Boss Hog because I'm a get-her-done kind of girl. And love, love, love that television program. So many people grew up watching Dukes of Hazzard. Now, not everybody knows that the Dukes of Hazzard was generally based on a young man's life and a young man's story. And the young man might be Cherie Rushing.
Just a little older now.
Just a little older.
Yeah.
Now, do you want me to interview Sadie first or interview you?
Well, either one. She's
Sadie,
most important.
What you got going on, little girl? What you got going on? Huh?
So I spend my time just looking after my daddy.
Uh-huh. Now, is Daddy a good boy? And do you get a little snack here or there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We go out to lunch, me and the boys, when the hunts are over. You know, we go out to lunch, and we usually go up to Porky's. And if you go up there, she's sit in the car and wait. When you come out, you better have a takeout.
You
if
better
you
have
don't, she
something
won't
to
look
go.
at you for 2 days. She'll settle up, won't look at you, she gets mad.
I'm with you. Yeah. Now, Cherie, let's talk a little bit about, number one, we're in a wonderful hunting lodge. Now, is this kind of retirement for you? And
Yeah, it's something I just play around with.
Uh-huh.
I always enjoyed hunting, and I don't do much hunting anymore myself, but I like taking people out, and they like to go run them wild hogs.
The woods around here, this is absolutely gorgeous.
It's right, pretty little mountains and
Beautiful, beautiful.
good spring water.
Have you spent your life here?
No, I originally was born in Monroe, and then I moved up here in the 80s
Uh-huh.
after we got the Dukes of Hazzard underway.
Right. Now, let's talk a little bit about the Dukes of Hazzard. When that started, not many people had family members. Now, my family, a lot of moonshiners in our family, and so we knew the history of what happened, and most people made shine to support their families and to feed their families, not to get rich and famous.
Yeah, my daddy made some whiskey, my grandpa, and about all of his brothers made whiskey. And it was kind of a family trade, and I was about the last one, you know, to come along and, as they say, push a good stick too far.
Right. Now, let's talk a little bit about driving these hills.
Oh, yeah.
Because the hills of North Carolina are a lot like the hills of Georgia. A lot of race car drivers came out of these hills based on a little bit of shine in some of their families, too.
Yeah, Junior Johnson and, well, the Petties, you know, they used to run shine.
Right.
Old Wendell Scott, he run a lot of whiskey.
Uh-huh.
And most of the old race car drivers really were moonshiners that had the talent to drive. And I was driving a car when I was 12 years old. His daddy'd send me out with a load. And I was just a kid, you know, but I could outrun about any of them, you know. I always was a pretty expert driver. And then when I got a little older, about 15, I started racing. And I drove about 12 years, run some with Petty's and old Dale Jarrett's daddy, and Pearson and Yarborough and some of them back in the old days.
Back when racing was racing.
Yeah, Bob Isaac and a whole bunch of them old ones.
Wow.
Fireball and Speedy Thompson.
You said a magic word, Junior Johnson. He was like the granddaddy of racing.
Yeah.
So much respect for that man. So much respect for him.
I did a couple of films with him. For one, I think they're using at the new museum. And we did something for the History Channel a time or two, and then we interviewed Junior, on that film we're working on. And I see him every once in a while.
Right.
Used to see him a lot more often in the old days.
Now, as a moonshiner, did you ever think about your life story being on television and in film?
Never crossed my mind.
How did all this happen?
I wrote a song called Mama Had to Pay. One day I got to thinking about all this stuff, and I thought, well, we're the one that goes to jail.
Right.
And we think, well, poor me, but you're not the one that has to pay. It's your mother who sat out on the doorsteps till 2 o'clock in the morning to hear your car coming back.
Right.
And when you was out racing, she'd be sitting on the doorsteps when you come in at night. We didn't think nothing about that. I got to think, well, she has to pay, and so I wrote a song about it, and this guy heard it, and he said, well, John Swears, who writes for Charlie Pride and Ronnie Millsap, he wrote the song, The Girl Waits on Tables. He went on one of my hunts one time, and he went back and wrote that song because my wife waited on us at a seafood restaurant, and he wrote The Girl Waits on Tables and sent her a copy before recording. He wrote Amazing Love sitting on one of my stands out hunting.
Wow.
But they told me to take it to somebody, and I asked him about working with it, and he said, Jerry, I'll be honest with you, I can't really do it because I'm trying to get mine published. And he said, I'm going to be honest with you. He said, but take it to somebody. And somebody told me, well, Bob Clark handles some music. So I kind of shyly walked in there and said, well, I got a song. He wanted to hear it, and he said he had heard of me all his life. And he said, we just never met, but he was a lawyer in the same town there. And he said, well, let me see what I can do. So he said, he called me back and said, would you consider letting us write your life story in some Moonshine script? I said, well, I don't know. And he said, well, I got a friend down in Georgia, Guy Waldron, that wants to write a Moonshine script, and he don't have the color for it. And he says, go home and write this stuff up. And I said, man, I can't write all that stuff. He said, well, put it on tape. So I walked in there. I went home. I sat down at the table with a tape recorder. I talked all night long and quit the next morning at 8 o'clock about old tales and stories. He said, man, I can see a 10-year TV series in these tapes. And so we worked out a deal that they'd take it. And then Guy came up and stayed with me, and they wrote it into Moonrunners. And then they took Moonrunners after that. Guy wrote Moonrunners, and it done good for its time. And then he took the material I had left and a lot out of Moonrunners and went and wrote The Dukes of Hazzard. And I had an old race car I drove on the road, and then I'd haul whiskey on it on the weekend and drive it to church on Sunday. I guess you call it a business coupe. But and that's how it got started, and it just went from there and turned out to be one of the hottest TV shows.
Absolutely, today, still today.
Yeah, and it's one of the most famous cars in the world.
Absolutely.
I never dreamed of it, and then Larry took that old Chrysler I had, and he bought it from somebody that restored it. That was the whole car that I hauled whiskey on. And he's got it now, and that's where he's doing a little film on that now. That car, we called it the Traveler after General Lee's horse.
Oh, gosh.
But we'd always named our cars, and then we'd race them, We had numbers on the doors and all that stuff. But, of course,
did your mother live to see the Dukes of Hazzard?
No. Let's see. Wait a minute. Yeah, I guess she did.
Do you think she understood the important part she played in this?
No, she didn't.
Because you wrote a song about your mama.
Yeah.
Who then you turned it in, and it just kept turning around, and then your life really did take a change.
Yeah, she really didn't like for me to talk about it a whole lot, you know. But I had a brother, and see, it was kind of based off of me and my brother. And my brother, he got killed in a car wreck.
Oh, wow.
He had a heart attack and run off the road and throwed him out, and the car turned over on him, and we lost him.
Out of the characters of Dukes of Hazzard, who are you the most like?
Who do I like most?
Who are you the most like?
Well, I was a little mixture of all of them, I guess. I was pretty rowdy. I wasn't that
Surely
kind of
not.
boy, you know.
Surely not.
I used to like to fight pretty good when I was young. But they kind of wrote John's part after me because I raced and
right.
did all that stuff and shot the bows and arrows. We got on probation, had to hunt with bow and arrow and all that stuff.
Is there anybody in your life like Boss Hogg?
Yeah, they sure was. He's dead now, but they wrote, actually his name was J. Lee, and they called him Hogjaw. And that's where a guy got the name of J.D. Hogg.
Oh, wow.
And Daisy was my first cousin. And except she was more beautiful than the real one.
Really?
She was a dream.
Wow.
She still lives down at Monroe.
Oh.
And she was, we wrote about her, and her daddy was my Uncle Worley. He was Uncle Jesse. He'd get about half lit, and then he'd get up preaching to all these old drunks sitting around a table, you know. And he'd say, "You're going to hell if you don't quit drinking that liquor," and he'd beat on the table, you know. And a lot of times I thought he was called to preach and just kind of resisted it. Because when he'd get drinking, he'd start preaching to all the rest of them.
Yeah.
But Uncle Jesse was after him, and of course Boss Hogg was after J. Lee, and Enos was character was, oh, I'm gonna get killed for this.
Go ahead. Nobody's watching.
He was actually my brother-in-law. He wanted to be a deputy sheriff so bad that he would go get him a low holster like a cowboy, and he'd go up to the sheriff's department and ride around with him. And he one day he was down on the river, and you know Enos is always saying, "Hold it," bing. Well, where that came from? He was down on the river, and they bought him a pair of handcuffs, and he was down there, and he didn't know nobody was around. The game warden had slipped up on him just watching him. He'd say, "All right, hold it right there," and he'd jerk that pistol out, and he'd say, "If you move, I'll blow your brains out." He'd go over like his handcuff in the tree, and that game warden sat there and watched him a little bit, and he said, "About got it worked out, bub?" And he said he jumped about that hard. But they're going to kill me for that.
That's funny. Well, everybody has a Barney Fife in their life, and everybody has an Enos, so now we know who your Enos was.
And Cooter was wrote after Jim Hogan. He's a friend of mine that he's dead now. About everybody's dying. I mean, all the old ones. And what me and my brother done, he looked at me like I was.
Whether you're in the mood for chicken strips, a delicious burger, our classic banana split, or an upside-down thick blizzard treat, we've got you covered. Hot and fresh food every day, every time, and delicious DQ soft serve make the perfect pair at your favorite place. Not fast food, fan food fast. Your Blue Ridge, Ellijay, and Jasper Dairy Queens are your meet, eat, and treat headquarters.
Thank you for choosing DQ. How may I serve you?
The mountains are calling, and they're closer than you think. Farmers Crossing in Ball Ground offers creekside lots with homes beginning in the 400s. Walking distance to downtown shopping, dining, tennis courts, Calvin Farmer Park, and local events. It also includes a beautiful hike to Long Swamp Creek. Leave the car and the worries behind. Move in by fall 2023. Call Cherie Martin at 404-375-0590 or Evelyn Calhoun at 770-733-0779.
Georgia Medical Treatment Center now has 2 locations to bring you the high-quality holistic care you've come to know and expect. We treat neck, back, and joint pain with chiropractic care and injection-based treatment without the need for surgery or prescription painkillers. Our medical weight loss program can also provide relief while ridding your body of toxins, pounds, and inches while improving your overall health. Call today for a free consultation, 770-345-2000, or go online to georgiamtc.com.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together.
The ETC Game of the Week is back again this football season. Watch your local teams go head-to-head each week, only on ETC TV3.
Whether you're swimming in the sea or splashing in the pool, making a masterpiece, or just making memories, writing a great American novel, or writing your term paper that's due tomorrow. Whatever you do in life, Farmers is here to protect it. For all your insurance needs, call Donald Curtis in Blue Ridge.
Now, I have to share something with y'all, and this is really, really cool. I didn't do this video, not responsible for this video, but love the way they did it. And for you guys who are out there and you love Mopar, you are going to want to take lessons from this videographer. It is really, really cool. If you love those old Plymouths like I do, the old satellites that were really cool and had the big trunks and the big engines and they could haul a whole lot of stuff, including a lot of kids. If you like those old Dodge cars, if you like stuff that sounds really cool, I think you're going to like this. So I'm going to share just a little bit, and then we're going to go back to a little bit more of Cherie Rushing. Cherie Rushing would love to have ridden around in this car, so here we go to just a little trip down the street.
he just kind of thought we were the only things on earth, you know, and he'd hang out with us, and whatever we was going to do, he was in to go along. I know I was going to talk him into wrecking a car when we was doing moon runners. And I said, Hogue, why don't you run that? He said, boy, I wouldn't do that stunt for nothing. I said, somebody's going to get killed and they crash that car off in that creek. I said, you know, Hogue, I said, you know, if you drove that car in that creek, you might get killed. But I said, people talk about that at Monroe for a long time. He said, I'm doing it. That's mine. I'm going to go tell a guy I want to do this stuff.
Now, let's talk a little bit about the driving. When you were driving in Moonshine, there wasn't a lot of traffic in this area, was there?
Not like it, no. There's too much traffic now.
Today it couldn't happen.
No,
I mean, it just
no,
didn't
and
happen.
we had a lot of dirt roads. And I was a terror on a dirt road. I mean, there wasn't nobody in the world I thought could catch me on a dirt road.
Did you ever really put your life in jeopardy to a point that you got home and said, wow, I can't believe I made this? And did you ever think I'm stupid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was just crazy enough to do all that stuff. And I didn't think anybody could catch me in a car.
Did revenuers have a bounty kind of out on you, like because they couldn't catch you?
They was after me. They followed me 44 nights with 21 cars. And one would get behind me and he'd tell me a while and I'd turn off and he'd go on. Another one pick me up the crossroad. They'd keep changing. I knew it was revenuers. But I would be going along and I'd turn off a road. Well, they'd go on. Well, I'd whoop off in a little old dirt road that went out to a field. And I might go 5 or 10 miles through the woods and come out on another highway. And then I'd meet one over there. They had their cars, 21 of them spread out. And they followed me 21 nights, and they told them, said, you know, y'all going to have to drop it. It's costing too much money. Well, back then, all $100 was like $10,000 now. But they said they'd done spent $150,000 and didn't have any results because I'd come out on another road and go through another patch of woods. I knew all those sawmill roads, and I'd finally get a chance to dart in the road that went into the still, and they was going to have to quit the next day. And this, supposedly my friend got caught. And so he told me if they dropped the charges, not give him no time, he'd tell them where that still was at.
Oh my gosh. Are you still friends with him today?
No, he's dead now.
Okay, all right.
And so they come in and caught my buddy at the still, or didn't catch him at the still. We'd went to the race the night before because I had to race that night. Well, he always carried some moonshine. Well, that's rode up in the moon runners where they'd take to the race and give everybody a little shot.
Right.
At night, I went through the fence and broke my neck. And so they blowed the still up that evening. That night, I had a bad crash and broke my neck. And I woke up in the hospital in Lancaster, South Carolina, and he was in the bed, next bed over. And he had went to talk to a lawyer because it about busted that evening. They arrested him that evening. And he got so upset he took a migraine headache, so they had to take him to the hospital.
So that was really a bad day.
That was a bad day. We lost the still.
In a race car.
And
Broken neck.
About got killed.
Yeah, that's not a good day. That is not a good day.
That was a bad one.
That's a bad day. Now tell me about today. What is your life like today?
I have mellowed out.
Not a wild and crazy man anymore.
No, I don't fire off and do that crazy stuff. And I do a lot of talks at churches and places like that. And I travel some with the prison ministry to try to get some of the people, help them change their life and tell them what happened to me. And after I turned my life over to God and quit all this stuff, how wonderful things is and how great God has made it for me. And I've had several of them to write me back and say they read my book and they'd got saved and they'd quit all their stuff. And the boy called me wanting to bring a little guy to see me this past week. And I told him to bring him on. And he said that he wouldn't go to church, and he wouldn't.
Boy, I wish y'all could have known Jerry Rushing. What a wonderful, wonderful guy. And what an exciting, interesting life. Those were days gone by. Many days gone by. You know, my granddaddy made shine. All his brothers made shine. That's what they did. They supported their family. That's what you did. You took care of your family and you did whatever it took. And often Moonshine was a part of that. So to all you guys, and I know these hills are still full of some of you old geezers that did that. And I salute you because, you know, I look at my granddaddy. He didn't even drink. He never even tasted it, but he made it to put food on the table. And that was a way of life. And our life is a little different now, just a very little different now. I hope you enjoyed that video of that car because they did, you got to give that company credit. They did a great job of a video of a really, really cool car. That car's been gone for a while, but it is headed back down to BG Way today, and it will be, you'll be seeing it on the streets of Ball Ground. So get ready. It is one of those things, you know, you think about it and then you do it and all is well. So yay, the car's back. It's so much fun to look back and to think about the memories of, I think about my favorite cars. And one day I'm going to have one of those favorite cars again. I always loved a 66 Chevelle, and that was my part of life. That was the most fun days of my life. And would I like to have all of them I've had back? Absolutely. Would I sell them again? No way in the world would I sell a 66 Chevelle now. But it's one of those things, you know, we go through phases, and life is about a lot of phases. And been a lot of phases going on, and a lot of changes, a lot of different things. We've seen the markets up, the markets down. But last night I was watching a special, and it was a lady that I absolutely adore. Her son was killed. His phone was taken. His bank account was cleaned out because of face recognition, and it made me really think clearly. I'm a realtor. I go out with strangers all the time. I show property. I'm on the back roads. I'm often alone, and we think about we are not guaranteed the next moment. Her son had no idea that somebody was going to kill him and do the things that they did and cleaned out his bank account just by using his cell phone. So please be cautious. If you use face identity, it's probably not a good idea. I think that was how they do this. They hold your face up even as they're killing you. They would hold your face up and your phone would open and they get access to your information. I think it's a crazy thing that the world has gone to that, and I can't imagine how Linda's dealing with this, but she is, and she will overcome it, and hopefully she will help somebody from this. Right now, we're going to go to a little funny, and we're going to end today with a little funny from the past, because the past is a lot of good memories, a lot of fun, and a lot of laughs. Here we go.
And it is so good to be back in Ellijay, Georgia.
That's right. Ain't it good to be back home again?
Yeah, it is, but...
I wanted him to sing that song so bad.
There's a storm across the valley. Clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulder. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
We're going to give you this great apple recipe, really easy. Peanut butter bread and apples, that's pretty simple. And I bet you you're going to like it.
Well, I don't think it'd be a good idea for me to try it on the set, because I may have to leave the set.
No. Now, we're not going to say that we stayed up all night long and did these, right? But we will say you took the motorhome under something that said 11 foot and the motorhome's 12 feet. How did we do that?
We wasn't sure we was going to be getting our wings this morning.
Hey, it's good to be back home again. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long lost friend. Yes, and hey, it's good to be back home again. There's all...
And And if you was wondering why I was singing and doing this, because if you'll watch Cherie, she'll just sit there and she'll just. Oh, is that what you're doing? You're just rubbing your quilt?
I love my quilt. I love my quilt, yes.
And your mother called last Friday. Sunshine made her cry. You felt the baby move just yesterday. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long lost friend. Yes, and hey, it's good to be back home again.
Have a name, let's call them Misfits.
They might not appreciate that.
I don't know. Let's go down to some awesome music. Here we are, Matt Diamond.
And we're going this time.
We are.
All right, cut the camera off.
Madeline. Yeah. Listen, I will say is he's younger than me, and that's all I'm going to say.
Well, 58's younger than you. Try it again. It's not 58.
It's the sweetest thing I know of, just spending time with you. It's the little things that make a house a home. Like a fire softly burning, supper on the stove. The light in your eyes that makes me warm. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long lost friend. Yeah, it's good to be back home again. Hey, it's good to be back home again. Sometimes this old farm feels like a long lost friend. Yes, and hey, it's good to be back home again. I said, hey, it's good to be back home again. My home's in Ball Ground, Georgia. No matter where I lay my head,